I've been wanting to talk about trusts for so long now, and I think that there are three really exceptional things that people may not know about why to buy a house in a trust. And I want to talk a little bit about that. First off, what a trust is it's an entity, kind of like an LLC is an entity. But what the trust does is that it really separates you from the house, okay? So you have no personal connection to the house any longer. The trust owns the house and you control the trust. And I'm gonna get into some detail on why that's really helpful. I think the first thing that people wanna know is, when I put a property into a trust, do I still own the house? You can look at it as if you own the house, sure. If it's let's say it's your primary residence and you own a house in a trust, so you could say that. But what I think is important for people to remember is that you actually control the trust and you get the benefit of the trust. The trustee controls the trust, the beneficiary gets the benefit of the trust. Now, if you have your primary residence and you put it into a trust, that is going to help you down the road for asset planning purposes, which means if something were to happen to you, the property doesn't go into probate in your particular state. If the property was owned just you as Joe Smith as the owner of the house, if it's the 123 Smith Trust, then you will get to avoid the probate process for that house, which is pretty astronomical. Not a lot of people know that, but that's one of the main benefits as a homeowner. One of the main benefits of owning a property in a trust as an investor is it gives you privacy. And privacy is a really important thing. And I'll give you an example why. I remember years ago, a friend of mine told me that an electrician was working on a house, redoing some electric up on the ceiling in the kitchen. Well, he got shocked so badly, he electrocuted himself, fell on the floor, and actually died doing what was pretty normal installation of a lighting fixture in a kitchen. Well, the wife of the electrician, I think her brother was an attorney, and the brother-in-law of the electrician who passed away sued the homeowner, and that created a lot of additional drama in that homeowner's life, because they had to then file a lawsuit, go after them in court. They had to do all of this stuff to protect themselves. Had they had the property into a trust, they wouldn't have had any judgments placed on them personally. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Said in a different way, when you put the property into a trust, the trust is a buffer between outside lawsuits getting attached to you personally as an individual or individuals. If it's, say, your husband or your wife, and you own the house as joint tenants or a married couple, and something happens outside of it, nobody can penetrate that trust because of the way the trust law works. So that's a really important thing. Another really cool thing for an investor is that you get to take the beneficial interest as personal property and use that as collateral, for something else, which is an important tool as well. Because if you needed to raise money and you said, hey, I've got this property over here, but I want to buy this other property over here, can you loan me money? And you say, hey, I'll give you the money as or I'll give you the beneficial interest as collateral. Then they'll go ahead and give you the money so that you can buy the other property. So that's another really cool thing you can do when your property's into a trust. It's a pretty easy process to put your property into a trust. You just get a deed and you deed it over into the trust. You can actually get a form called a deed to trustee, which is a kind of a specialized deed, and it describes in that document the responsibilities of the trustee, what they're supposed to do, what they can do, what they cannot do, and it's spelled out so when you record it, the public understands what you can do. So if something were to happen and somebody searched for that particular property and they found that it's in a trust and that these are the responsibilities and the rights that the trustee has to honor within the trust agreement, which isn't recorded, you then get to have another buffer from people just giving you a frivolous lawsuit. Some of you may have been in frivolous lawsuits and you've gotten property attached to your primary residence. If it was in that trust, that would not have been able to attach, that judgment could not have attached to your home. So that could be a nice protective device for you. And I urge everybody, really, truly, to put their property into a trust for the privacy, for the avoidance of probate, and to use the beneficial interest as some additional collateral for other loans or other business opportunities. So I think that those three things are some really interesting points. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask below, and I'm going to answer as many as I can.